Okay, so I think it's fair for me to start. It's 7:02. So as majority of you guys know already, I'm going to say everything in English, followed by everything in French, a little bit back and forth. Hi Nancy, thanks for joining. Donc, comme vous savez, je vais dire la majorité en anglais, ensuite je vais traduire tout de suite en français pour que tout le monde puisse comprendre. This is I was in and got kicked out, but I'm back. Me too, that's my fault, I'm sorry. So this is our last live Facebook event for the Sleuth. We had a idea in our head to do, hi Hubert, thanks for joining us, to do 6 full episodes of an hour with you guys. And now we are at our 6th. So that means that we've been in self-isolation for way too long already. So essentially, for those of you that don't know what the Sleuth is, it is a reality TV show that's based on me and my company. So I own Private Eye Investigations in Ottawa, Ontario. And you're going to be following our cases, real cases, my employees, the drama that comes with that, part of my personal life, and all of the adventure that is involved in all of that. And I'm really excited to share that with you. Hi, Eric. Will the series be in English or French primarily? So the series, as of now, will be in English. However, it is something that we are considering potentially doing in the future, having a French version. There we go. Okay, so wonderful. Thank you very much, Eric. So right now, what I'm going to do is I have a couple of questions that were sent in by people, and believe it or not, even from Lebanon. So it's all around the world. And I'm going to answer a couple of your questions. Then I have stories that you guys submitted for me to read today about your experiences either hiring a private investigator or directly from private investigators around the world that wanted me to share their stories today too. So if you guys have any questions, this portion would kind of be the time, or else ask throughout and I'll answer the questions between the stories. That's no problem as well. So I had Noor here from Lebanon. She asked 2 questions. And hi, Dad. Thanks for joining. And her first question is, in a cheating partner case, is it males or females that usually hire you the most? So I think we touched base on this a few weeks ago. And hi, Dad. So the majority of the cases that we get a lot of inquiries in regards to following women. Women do statistically have the higher percentage of infidelity. So women are bound to cheat more than men, just statistically proven right now. So, but we have a lot more paranoid women that hire us and are just skeptical about their husbands or jealous. So it's kind of 50-50 on the hiring, but for the results, more women than men are caught doing the deed. And her second question was, what is the most common type of case that you get? Hi, Jess. Thanks for joining us. Hi, Steph. Thanks for joining. So what is the most common type of case you get? I'm going to have to say divorce. Divorce and custody battles. Yeah, I'm going to have to say that. We have a lot of everything. We have a lot of infidelity. We have a lot of missing persons and stuff too. But really, I think that divorce cases, or anything that involves a divorce, as well as anything that involves children and a custody battle, that is really our prime type of cases, I guess, that we get the most of. Puis, tu sais, on a beaucoup de cas. Ariane. So Ariane is my right-hand man. She is, my goodness, she is not only an amazing investigator that works on my team, but she is also the person that keeps me in line in regards to getting back to everybody. So thank you, Ariane. That I did not know, Will. Yes, so we have a ton of divorce and custody battle cases. You got kicked out as well, now I'm back. Thank you, Chantal, that was my fault. I kicked myself out by accident. I have heard that private investigators in Canada can arrest people. So no, we don't have that right. We have the same right as any other citizen. So you can do a citizen's arrest in Canada, but you have no right to actually physically arrest somebody and act as a police officer. That is only the responsibility of a cop. If you decide to detain somebody and do a citizen's arrest, you are liable for any type of force that you use, and you're also responsible for their safety until a peace officer does show up to essentially officially arrest the individual and bring them where they need to go. So that's a great question. Thank you so much. So Michelle is the director, and she's the one responding as the sleuth right now. I don't know if anybody submitted any other questions to you on your end. If you have any, feel free to let me know. If not, I can go and start with one of the stories right away. Do you guys want to hear one of the stories? Yes, so you want to hear a story? Okay. So I'm going to start with my third story. So please note that I've decided, just to protect these people's identity, to leave all of their personal information private. So if they are watching right now and they want to, some stories first. Okay, perfect. We'll do that. So if they want to say that it's them or add details, feel free to do so in the comments. But otherwise, I've taken out your names, the names of the people involved, and the specific locations. All right, so the first story. I worked in a local pharmacy for many years. Many moons ago, we had experienced a slip and fall incident within the store. A client slipped. Hi, Bree. Thanks for joining. A client slipped and claimed to be in a lot of pain. Fast forward a few weeks, and the same type of incident happened at another branch in a different end of town. In total, about 6 or so stores had been affected. The owner of one branch had hired a private investigator to look into the individuals who slipped and conducted an investigation. It was later brought to light that the pair was a father-daughter duo con artist that were scamming as many businesses as possible through false injuries. Last I heard, they were both arrested. So I think that we all have heard of slip and fall cases. This is pretty common, and this does not surprise me. The thing that caught my eye in regards to this was the fact that it was a father-daughter duo. It's impressive when becoming a con artist runs in the blood, right? I think this is intriguing. Okay, do you guys want a second story back to back? I have a... So I think I'm just going to tell you. So this one here comes from a private investigator. He's a private investigator from Europe, and I'm going to keep his firm private because it's a recent case of his. All right. So this comes from him. I've been a detective for over 20 years, and believe me when I say this is a first. I was hired to conduct surveillance on a lad. I had my file ready as I would any other case, with pictures, address, hobbies, place of work, and much more. After a few days of following this lad, I had noticed his schedule and habits didn't coincide with what the client had provided me. Salut Mathieu. Turns out that this lad lived with his identical twin brother that the client forgot to tell me about. I spent the better part of a few days following the wrong twin that I didn't know existed. Okay, so this made me laugh beyond belief, and it still does. Salut. So I think this is hilarious because, and Michelle, when we were going through this case the other time, we both couldn't believe that. That's not a detail to forget to tell your private investigator. Oh my goodness. So that's hilarious. I think that, right, Chris? Could you imagine? Oh my goodness. So note to self, if you're going to do surveillance from now on, verify if they have a twin and if they live together. I think it's priceless. Michelle, you asked the question, have you ever had a client leave out detail that severely derailed an investigation? Um, that's a really good question. I'm trying to think. I've had clients derail my investigations in other ways by involving themselves in a case. I've had a client actually hire another private investigation agency to work the same case to see whether or not we both get the same results. So in that way, I guess, but I've never had I don't think, and Ariane, please tell me if I'm wrong, I don't think somebody's ever left out pertinent information like that, especially when it comes to, like, I can't compare it to this man's story. All right, should we go to story number 3? Or if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask throughout and I'll answer in between. I only have a couple of stories that I printed out, so feel free to add questions in the middle. Si vous avez des questions, vous pouvez me poser entre les histoires aussi. Je vais les répondre à fur et à mesure quand je les vois. So should we go to story number 3? Okay, so story number 3. This one comes in from a friend of the person that hired a PI, and I chose this to add this one today because I think it's really cute, and it shows a different type of case that we do deal with sometimes. So the story goes: my friend hired a private investigator to follow her boyfriend because she thought he was cheating on her. He was coming home later a few nights a week and would automatically go and change, and sometimes even shower. He started doing his own laundry and would just act different. They had previously been arguing a lot, and especially about over getting a dog. She wanted absolutely nothing to do with getting one, however, he really did. She noticed the fights had stopped and the conversation was not brought back up since he started sneaking around. So it turns out he had been volunteering twice a week at a dog shelter to walk the dogs after work and didn't want her to find out. He didn't want to get into any more arguments. She was so surprised that she ended up going and adopting the dog that he had connected the most with at the shelter. And it was just her way of apologizing for not having trusted him and spending way too much money on a private investigator. See, that's cute. This is a man that you marry. Oh my goodness. Okay, so we do still do quite a bit of investigation where people are just suspicious. There's no reason to hire a private investigator other than just reassuring yourself, and this is exactly. However, I've never had to go to a dog shelter for an investigation, and I would love to. So if somebody wants to hire us just to go and watch people walk dogs or have us walk dogs, I'll do it. That is cute. We need more of those feel-good cases, right? Wouldn't you love walking dogs while working? My goodness, I love that. What is this saying? As long as it's not a Chihuahua or any ankle biters. Oh, we'll get you some dogs for the new series. My goodness, Alan, I'm keeping you on that. They better get along with mine. Chantal, before becoming a PI, did you ever experience something negative that tested you to the core in your hindsight, made you realize that you have what it takes to be a great PI? Experience something negative that tested you to the core. Well, I think this kind of loops back into what we discussed a little bit last week in regards to your acting and reacting in certain situations and your decision-making skills, and knowing whether or not you'd be good in confrontation, or if something were to happen to you that you're not ready for. I think in that sense, yes. I lived in South America for a while, and when I lived in South America, there's a lot of things that happened to me when I was there, but 2 incidents in particular that when I say it, it sounds terrifying. And when you live it, it is. But I'm really glad that it's something that I lived through, because now I know how I react in those situations. Odd to say, but it helps me focus more when I'm at work. So one case in particular, I had gotten mugged at knife point. So I had, for the longest time, I had a knife mark across my neck. And I was walking with somebody, and 4 guys came out of nowhere, jumped us. 3 of them went directly to the other guy, beating him up, trying to find money, which we had none on us. And one guy was holding the knife against me and pressing that. So I'm lucky that I was fluent in Spanish at the time and was able to convince the 3 other guys to stop, and that said that I had the money on me. The only reason I decided to do that is because from afar, I saw that there was more individuals walking up in the same direction. So I knew that timing wise, should all 4 guys come on me, I knew that there was going to be people and witnesses and stuff to come and help very, very shortly thereafter. So a case like that, I had no time to be scared, to be emotional, to be anything more than witty. To look around. Awareness, situational awareness is huge, and in what I do too. We talked about this last week as well. So that particular case is a really good. Once it was done, that's when your adrenaline pumps in. That's when your emotions kick in. That's when you want to break down and cry. But during, exactly, Ariane, your instincts kicked in. And the second thing that happened to me, and I don't even know the right terms to use, is I had gotten in a fake taxi while in Colombia. And when I was in the fake taxi, unfortunately, for those who don't know what a fake taxi is, it's essentially when you get in, there's no way of getting out. So there's no handle to get out of the front door. And this car in particular, I had to sit in the front because of the way certain vehicles are made there. There's no back seat. So I had to sit in the front right next to the driver. Once the door closed, and as soon as he took off, that's when I realized, oh no, there's no handle. This guy's clearly not taking me where I want to go. And I lived there. So I was going to a friend's house at this point to celebrate her birthday. And I knew how to get there. He was taking me across town where there's no lights, there's no cars, there's no homes, there's no nothing. And I knew right then and there in my mind, I'm either going to be dead here tomorrow if I don't do something now, or I'm just going to be another statistic, or I'm going to get raped or something. So that was definitely everything that goes through your mind as soon as it happens. And then I decided, no, we're gonna fight this. We're gonna do something about this. And once again, I'm lucky I was completely fluent in Spanish, so I was able to start arguing with him and not acting like I knew I was in a fake taxi, acting like he was a regular cab driver. And then when he came to a complete stop at one point, he jumped on me. One thing, anyways, don't go into those details. So then I eventually got him to press on the gas again. We moved forward a little bit. And when we got close to a intersection where I knew I'd be able to find people close by, he ended up coming to a stop. And that's when I ended up pushing his face against the window. I punched his face with the other, and I don't know if you guys can see or not, but I broke my hand on his face. And I managed to put down my window from his side of the car so that I can reach over, open the door from the outside. So when he pressed on the gas again, I jumped out of his car. And then somebody saw me jump out as I screamed for help. And then they ran down and helped me and brought me back to the nearest hostel. But in those particular circumstances, if I would not have reacted the way I did, I don't think I'd be here today. And if I would be here today, I definitely would not be the woman I am today. I think that he would have taken a part of me that I would never have been able to get back. So I'm really glad that those types of incidents has happened to me in the past, because I can honestly say that I don't have much fear when it comes to other people now, because I know the way that my actions will be in regards to if something were to happen to me. I hope that makes sense. And that was a lot of words. I'm sorry. But I hope that makes sense. Great thinking. Thank you. Absolutely terrifying. It's not something I'd want to live twice. But it happened. And once again, like I broke a toe, twisted my ankle, broke my hand, and I only felt the pain about 2 days later once my adrenaline weared off. But for that moment, it didn't even matter. Like really, it's fight or flight, right? So that was a great question. Sorry, that was a really long answer. Appreciate that question though. Hubert, great thinking. Thank you so much. One strong woman mentally and looks like physically too. Oh, thanks, hon. Good for you. Thank you very much, Jess. So all that to say, check if there's a door handle in the car before you get in. Just kidding. But anyways, do we want to go on to another story? How many have I told? I think I have one left here. Oh, and I think this one's cute too. Okay, so we have story number 4. Wow. Ouais, c'est fou, hein, Mathieu? La vie, c'est intéressant, la vie, en tout cas. Donc, on va lire la 4e histoire que j'ai imprimée pour vous. So this one is cute. It comes from a husband who hired a PI to follow his wife. And this is how it goes. So this is my moment of shame. My wife and I had been married now for over 23 years. I thought we were doing so good. At the time, we had 3 teenagers, all still living at home, and all had a pretty busy schedule. My wife started going to the gym about twice a week, sometimes more often. However, sometimes I'd notice that she'd forget her running shoes, and in brackets he put, which looked like they had never been worn, at home. She'd come back home with her hair and her makeup the same, not having showered at the gym, nor a drop of sweat on her clothing. It was obvious that she wasn't going to the gym, and clearly to me having an affair. I had the bright idea of not discussing anything with my wife and going straight into hiring a PI. Turns out my poor, exhausted wife just wanted to get away from our kids and me for quiet time. So she'd go and get ice cream, sit in her car in silence for an hour or so. The most exciting evening for my investigator is when she had to go to 2 different ice cream shops because they no longer had her favorite dessert. Oh. See, that's cute. I love stories like that. And I could definitely relate because if I had a ice cream shop closer, I'd probably leave there twice a week too. And leave my husband and kids at home. My goodness, that's funny. If anybody else can relate to that, let me know. Oh my goodness. Kelsey, thanks for sharing them. Thank you guys for sending them in. I thought they were amazing. And the questions too, and I can't believe I have questions from Lebanon. I have stories from Europe. You guys are amazing. These are coming from all over. Some I haven't really gone into detail with some of these to see where they're coming from, but based on some of the details and locations, I think I have an idea. One of them is local as well, so thank you guys so much. And we still have about 10 to 15 minutes. Do you guys have questions? Do you have a specific topic you would like me to discuss about more? Keep in mind, this is our last live event, so now is the time to ask away. And it doesn't mean that in the future we won't have a sporadic event to give you more details about the show when we get more details and when we're allowed to divulge more information. It just means that right now life is slowly going back to normal, and we want to make sure that we're able to be just as productive as well. What are we going to do with our Mondays? I don't know. And I kind of feel the same right now because it's still been 6 weeks that I've been dedicating my Monday evenings to you guys. So I'm kind of like, what am I going to do next Monday? Probably have dinner at a regular time. But no, I don't know. But you guys can still send questions. We're still going to make content for the page. We're still going to maybe make little videos here and there to keep you guys entertained. But for now, I think this is it. Nancy, if you find someone your surveillance is doing something illegal, do you tell your client? Yes. So absolutely, we have to report everything we see needs to be reported to our client, whether it's illegal or not, depending on the crime that is being committed. We also have we're obliged to get the police involved depending on what it is, and obviously the case in itself. So there's so many exceptions to that, but our client needs to know what we see. We are their eyes and ears for everything when it comes to the case. So yeah, absolutely. So as you guys know, I'm still in my garage. It's cold. Sorry. So Peter, Dad, you asked, are there any episodes taped ahead or will it all be live broadcast? So the TV show in itself will not be live. It'll be a reality TV show. However, they're not going to be broadcast live. There's they're going to be like a regular show that you see on TV that is on a weekly basis, and just based on real events and stuff like that, but it's not going to be live broadcast like what I'm doing right now. This is just for entertainment. Thanks for sharing. They were indeed entertaining. Thank you. It's not always pretty and not always easy to tell clients depending on the acts. No, absolutely, Ariane, you're right. We have to sometimes give heart-wrenching and breaking information to our clients. It's awful. We feel terrible for it. And sometimes we have to kind of essentially your client becomes, you become your client's psychologist. At that particular moment, you and her or him are the only people in the world that know what is going on in that particular moment. So they're vulnerable with you. They're emotional with you. They're sometimes traumatic with you as well. But they feel the ability to tell you and to open up to you because you're the only person that they can in that moment. And they might feel embarrassed as well, which is completely normal. And exactly, you grow a relationship with your client. And so, but when we have to tell our client that their husband is cheating or that their child ran away, and don't want to get back home with them, or that their biological parents want nothing to do with them, that kind of stuff. It's a lot of hard information to give to a person. So Ron, how do the police react to your company? Really well for the most part, I believe. We've worked hand in hand with various police forces in different cities. So we definitely don't have anything bad back and forth. We don't have a bad relationship with the cops. Completely opposite, I'd say. We're there to help them and vice versa. We've worked on cold case files with them. We've worked on murder trials. We've worked on harassment cases, stalking cases. So we work hand in hand with the police for various reasons. And I think it's important to build that relationship with your local police officers as well as with the cities around, because you never know where you're going to end up with your cases. How do you usually tell a client this bad news, in person or on the phone? I always prefer to do it in person, mostly because you can't comfort somebody over the phone. And it's also a nice way to gauge their personality, their way of acting, reacting. Not everybody reacts to bad news the same way, so you want to make sure that when you're done having the conversation that they have somebody and that they can go and talk to. They have a safe place they can go home to. Some news feels like it's the end of the world for some of these people, and I don't want to just give them the news, hang up the phone, and think it's out of my problem. So it's really, for me, it's really important. And Ariane, I think you could agree to this, that we interact with our clients when we have that type of news, to give it to them in person, because if something were to ever happen, I don't think I'd be able to sleep at night knowing that I didn't take an extra step of precaution and an extra step of essentially, empathy, because we all have emotions, and imagine that happened to you. Ariane says, yes, we take care of our clients as best as we can. Exactly. And I think it's really important to do that. Obviously, you need to have boundaries with your client. Like, you're not friends, and in a specific moment they may think you are. They may try to call a lot in order to talk about stuff, but you need to set a boundary. But once that boundary is set and you have your foot down, you are able to maintain a good relationship with them in order to help guide them to the best results for their own personal benefit as well as the end. Even though we've served them bad news, there is still a light at the tunnel that they could see, and we try to guide them towards that. We try to explain to them that although this happened, there's still this in your life. Okay. Oh, good timing, everybody. So I hope you guys really enjoyed this last episode. I think personally, those stories were amazing. The questions were perfect. You guys have definitely outdone yourself today. Thank you very much. Building trust with our clients is key in our line of work, and I couldn't agree more. Ariane, you're absolutely right. And I think that we demonstrate that with all of our clients. It's really a necessity. So, Ron, thank you very much. So thank you guys, everybody, for joining today. I super, super appreciate all of you guys being here. All of your questions that you guys asked, all of your, your involvement, your engagement. Thank you. Definitely feel free to keep asking questions in the next couple of weeks. I'll post little videos and stuff for you guys. That's no problem. Thank you for the stories that you've submitted, and for the people around the world that are watching and that are sending stuff in. Thank you very much. Alan. Hi, Alan. I didn't even know you were on. Alan, that's our producer. Everybody say hi to Alan. So on that note, everybody, thank you so much. Farewell. And next time you hear from us on a live, hopefully it's a lot more information regarding to our next adventure as the team of the Sleuth. And on that, I'd also like to thank the team for the Sleuth for dedicating. We dedicate an hour to this every Monday, but we also dedicate a lot of our time during the week to make this happen, to meetings in order to figure out what's our next step. So thank you guys all. Michelle, Kaylin, Alan, thank you to my team at Private Eye Investigations. Oh my God, you guys are rock stars, including you, Ariane and Jess. Melody, thank you. Nathan, thank you. Thank you, Nancy. Thank you very much. Bye, everybody. Don't forget to send in any questions you have. I'll answer them within the next couple of weeks with little videos here and there. If you have stories you want me to share, send them in. We'll keep this going. We just won't keep our lives going for the next little while. Thank you, guys. Merci tout le monde. Merci, merci, merci. Bonne nuit.